The latest information I'm hearing is that one of the most talked about offseason videos in hockey right now isn't a highlight from an NHL game, a blockbuster trade, or even a contract signing. It's a simple training session in Vancouver that brought together some of the brightest young stars in the sport. And the player drawing the most attention from Toronto Maple Leafs fans is Gavin McKenna. After footage surfaced showing McKenna skating alongside San Jose Sharks star Macklin Celebrini and several other elite young players, the conversation exploded across hockey circles. Then McKenna finally addressed what the experience meant to him, giving fans a better look into his mindset as he prepares for the biggest challenge of his career. From what I've been told, this wasn't some carefully planned publicity event. It was an off-season training skate involving elite players looking to sharpen their games before NHL training camps begin. These types of sessions happen every summer, but this one immediately stood out because it featured the newest face of the Maple Leafs' future, sharing the ice with one of the league's most exciting young stars in Celebrini. For Leafs fans who have been waiting to see how McKenna approaches life after being selected first overall, this was exactly the kind of glimpse they wanted. What really caught my attention wasn't simply the fact that McKenna was skating with Celebrini. It was how comfortable he looked. Every clip that circulated online showed a player who didn't appear overwhelmed by the pace or the skill level around him. Instead, he looked like someone eager to test himself against the very best. That's an important detail, because the jump from junior hockey to the professional level isn't only about talent. It's about confidence. It's about proving to yourself that you belong on the same ice as players who are already NHL stars. League observers have been talking about McKenna ever since Toronto made him the first overall selection. Expectations couldn't be much higher. Whenever a franchise uses the number one pick, especially a franchise like the Maple Leafs, every move that player makes gets examined under a microscope. Every practice, every interview, every off-season workout suddenly becomes news. That's simply the reality of being viewed as the future of one of hockey's biggest organizations. I'm told the Maple Leafs have been impressed not only by McKenna's skill, but also by his willingness to learn. That was already evident during development camp, where he spent time getting familiar with the organization, meeting coaches and teammates, and taking his first skates wearing Toronto colors. Those who watched him closely came away saying he looked relaxed, despite all the attention surrounding him. One moment from development camp even gave fans a better sense of his personality. McKenna joked that veteran goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky deserved to keep wearing number 72 because, as he put it, Bobrovsky had earned it after winning 2 Stanley Cups. It wasn't a major headline, but little moments like that tend to stick with people. They show humility, they show respect for accomplished veterans, and they suggest that, despite all the hype surrounding him, McKenna understands that nothing is handed to you once you reach the NHL. Now fast forward to this Vancouver training session. Suddenly the cameras are rolling again, and McKenna is sharing the ice with Macklin Celebrini. That instantly grabbed attention because Celebrini has already established himself as one of the NHL's premier young talents. His skating, hockey IQ, and competitiveness have earned praise across the league. Seeing those two players working together naturally led fans to imagine what the NHL's next generation might look like over the next decade. Here's how I read this situation. Players don't become stars simply because they train together. We shouldn't pretend one off-season skate guarantees future success. But there is real value in putting yourself in an environment where everyone pushes each other. When you're surrounded by elite talent, every drill becomes faster. Every decision has to come quicker. Every mistake gets exposed immediately. Those are exactly the kinds of environments that accelerate development. The footage itself doesn't reveal everything, because we only see brief moments. Social media clips rarely tell the full story. But even in those short sequences, one thing stood out to me. McKenna wasn't hanging back or trying to stay unnoticed. He was fully engaged in every drill. He looked competitive. He looked confident. Most importantly, he looked like he wanted to measure himself against players who are already competing at the highest level. People around the league believe that's one of the biggest reasons elite prospects seek out these off-season skates. You don't improve by staying comfortable. You improve by challenging yourself against players who force you to elevate every part of your game. That's exactly what McKenna appeared to be doing. Then came the comments that really fueled the discussion. McKenna spoke positively about the opportunity to skate with talented players, emphasizing that experiences like these help him learn and improve. There wasn't any controversy in what he said. He wasn't taking shots at anyone. He wasn't making bold predictions about his rookie season. Instead, he came across as focused on development and eager to absorb as much as possible from players who have already reached the NHL. To me, that's actually more encouraging than hearing flashy promises. Every summer, there's at least one prospect who confidently predicts he'll dominate the league immediately. Those comments generate headlines, but they don't necessarily translate into success. McKenna has taken a different approach so far. His message has consistently centered on improving every day, learning from experienced players, and earning whatever opportunity comes next. That's exactly the mentality Toronto hoped it was drafting. Another reason this story has gained so much traction is because of who Macklin Celebrini is becoming. Celebrini isn't simply another young NHL player. Around the league, many believe he's one of the faces of hockey's next generation. Whenever someone like that appears in off-season footage with another elite prospect, fans naturally start comparing them. Some even begin imagining future international tournaments where they'll wear the same Team Canada jersey. Others wonder whether these off-season relationships could shape rivalries for years to come. My take is that those conversations are part of what makes hockey so much fun during the summer. The season may be months away, but fans are always searching for clues about what's coming next. Sometimes those clues come from trades or free agency. Other times they come from a simple training session where tomorrow's stars quietly go to work while everyone else is watching. What also stands out to me is how quickly the perception around McKenna has shifted. Just a few weeks ago, most of the conversation centered on the excitement of the draft. People were talking about Toronto landing the consensus #1 prospect, Justin Bieber announcing the selection, and Austin Matthews welcoming the newest member of the organization. Those were memorable moments, but they were ceremonial. This training session is different because it gives fans a glimpse of what happens once the cameras from draft night are gone and the real work begins. From what I'm hearing, the Maple Leafs are in no rush to put unrealistic expectations on McKenna. That's an important point because organizations have learned over the years that developing elite talent isn't simply about throwing a player into the NHL as quickly as possible. It's about making sure every step prepares him for long-term success. Toronto has invested heavily in player development, and that means evaluating not only his skill level, but also how he responds to challenges, pressure, and stronger competition. That's one reason this off-season skate matters more than some people realize. It's another opportunity for McKenna to test himself against players who already understand the speed and intensity of the NHL. Even though these are informal workouts, they aren't casual pickup games. The pace is high, the standards are demanding, and nobody wants to be the player who falls behind. Every drill becomes a chance to improve. One thing I've noticed from players who eventually become stars is that they rarely wait for training camp to start improving. They're already working months before the season begins. That's exactly the impression McKenna is creating. He's not acting like someone satisfied with being the first overall pick. He's acting like someone who understands that getting drafted is only the beginning. League sources have consistently described McKenna as someone who loves being on the ice. That reputation didn't suddenly appear after he joined Toronto. Coaches and scouts have talked for years about his competitive nature and his willingness to keep developing every area of his game. Those qualities often separate elite prospects from elite NHL players. Talent gets you drafted. Daily habits determine whether you eventually become a franchise cornerstone. The latest information I'm hearing is that Toronto remains extremely excited about his future, but the organization also understands that patience will be important. Maple Leafs fans know better than anyone how enormous the spotlight can become. Every top prospect arrives carrying expectations, and in a market like Toronto, those expectations grow almost immediately. That's why McKenna's calm approach has impressed so many people around the league. My take is that one of the biggest advantages McKenna has is his attitude. Every time he speaks publicly, the message stays remarkably consistent. He talks about learning. He talks about improving. He talks about earning opportunities rather than expecting them. Those aren't flashy headlines, but they're exactly what coaches want to hear from a young player entering professional hockey. Of course, hockey fans have also done what hockey fans always do. They've started dreaming. Social media quickly filled with comments calling McKenna and Celebrini the future of the NHL. Others imagined future Team Canada lineups featuring both stars. Some Leafs fans even joke that if McKenna enjoys training with Celebrini this much, maybe Toronto should find a way to recruit him years down the road. That's all part of the off-season fun, but it's important to separate fan excitement from reality. Right now, the only confirmed story is that these young players shared the ice in Vancouver to continue their off-season preparation. What I find interesting is how much attention a single training session received. That tells you everything you need to know about the level of excitement surrounding McKenna. Fans aren't waiting for preseason games. They're analyzing skating clips, practice drills, and every public appearance because they want any indication of how quickly he might develop into the player Toronto believes he can become. Here's how I see this situation moving forward. The next major checkpoint is training camp. That's where the conversations shift from potential to performance. Coaches will evaluate how McKenna handles NHL pace every single day, how he competes against experienced professionals, and how quickly he adapts to the demands of the organization. Those evaluations will carry far more weight than any off-season highlight video. Still, I wouldn't dismiss the significance of what we've already seen. Elite players often seek out other elite players because they know iron sharpens iron. When you're surrounded by highly skilled competitors, every repetition has value. Every practice becomes another opportunity to identify weaknesses and improve them before meaningful games begin.